Tony Garcia joining us once again, Michigan football and basketball writer for the Detroit Free Press. Tony, good to see you again. Okay, so we were joking before we began the show. You know, boy, it's just never a dull moment, I guess. Tell us what you know right now and where this thing may be headed.
Yeah, good to see you as well, Larry, and all the guys. Man, well, it's hard to get too far ahead because this is such a quickly developing thing, and there is frankly some he said, she said to it, and just as if the first investigation taught us anything, it's that this is not going to happen quickly, right? I was speaking with some people with intimate knowledge of the situation inside the athletic department on Sunday when the news broke. They were not super pleased with how it got out, but I don't know that that's relevant. I think what's relevant is the news that got out, and that's that Sharon Moore allegedly deleted some text messages with Connor Stallions. Now, people I spoke with say they were not nefarious in nature. It was not related to that situation. However, optically, I think that's where that sort of comes in. And now it's a matter of how the NCAA, I mean, this was just a draft notice of allegations that Michigan was presented with, right? So now they will have to actually get that notice of allegations to Michigan. Now, the last time this happened with the COVID-19 investigation and scandal that began a few years ago, that whole process took more than a year. I mean, even just now, Michigan was accepted of probation in April from an investigation that began in 2020, 2021, right? So it can take some time. Where we are now, it's that Michigan is cooperating with investigators. Sharon Moore's name was thrown in, and because he was listed and because he served a one-game suspension for the first set of circumstances last season when they sort of reached a negotiated resolution with the NCAA, he could now be seen as a repeat offender, and that's kind of that's the biggest situation as it pertains to Sharon. He was is only charged with, or potentially being charged with, level 2 violation, which is kind of a mid-level by the NCAA. It's Jim Harbaugh and some other staffers, former staffers, I should say, Chris Partridge, Connor Stallions, who are all charged with level 1 violations and potential show cause penalties should Jim want to return to the college ranks. I don't see that happening, but that's kind of where things stand.
So is Michigan inside the athletic department? They have to have some confidence seeing that the days of smacking down programs like what happened to SMU or Illinois in the past seems to be not there. And certainly Kansas, with their endless legal motions, have shown that you can outlast the NCAA. Connor Stallion certainly seems to be an issue that would look negatively on the program, but they've got to be thinking this will probably be a slap on the wrist when it really comes down to it.
That is sort of the sentiment inside. Now, I guess things can always change, right? You need to get the final version, the final everything. And I always like to give that caveat. But as of right now, it seems like Michigan's national championship is going to stand. They're not taking that away. Doesn't sound like vacated wins are on the table. Like I said, a Sharon Moore suspension, possibly something like that. I mean, Michigan is already on probation. Could there be? It's from what I've heard, the worst case sort of scenario for Michigan that they're floating right now is a potential future postseason ban. Now, that's far from certain, but it's not ruled out. And so, I mean, we're not looking. I mean, depending on who you are, some might see that as a slap on the wrist. Some might see that as like the end all be all punishment, right? I don't know if either side is going to be fully satisfied, as is always the case, often the case, I should say. But yes, no, to your point, Mike, inside Michigan, they're not terribly concerned. They seem to be going about it business as usual. Now, I will say Michigan does tend to downplay things frequently, and they will. I mean, it all started as we did nothing wrong, right? Then it was a nothing burger. Then it was, okay, well, yeah, but everyone does it, right? I mean, it just keeps getting a little wider. That said, they are at the point where they seem to know what other people know, and I don't think they're terribly concerned that. I mean, there's certainly no death penalties coming.
Now, on the other hand, Ohio State fans, they're looking for the death penalty times 6.
Yeah.
What is the feeling that you're hearing as you talk throughout the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, they're not pleased, right? I mean, all I see whenever I see on, I guess, the social medias, the interwebs, what have you, I mean, frequently it's Ohio State fans saying, I mean, well, what about Jim Tressel and those tattoos, right? I mean, think about I mean, they were gutted, right? I mean, the only bad year they've had in this century was the year after that happened. They had to get rid of Tressel. They bring in Fickle. That was Michigan's only win in the rivalry in like 16 years, right? Ohio State was 6-7. They had to, I mean, just because of some tattoos, so they say, right? And they're like, look, what we are doing had absolutely nothing to do with football, and yet here you are with what is an alleged impermissible cheating scheme, and you're just gonna go waltz into a national championship. I mean, so I think they're peeved. However, I mean, the NCAA is investigating it, and the NCAA does not like Michigan, and I don't think they're going to get. I mean, not that that's right or wrong. That just kind of seems to be the case, and so I don't know that they're gonna. If they're letting Michigan off light to Ohio State's perception, it's because it's what they deemed appropriate, and so they just won't be satisfied. Same in
Probably.
East Lansing. Same in East Lansing. There's a lot of that sentiment going around.
I was gonna say, yeah, talking with Tony Garcia, Detroit Free Press. Yeah, you've been scandal in 2023, Michigan State, Northwestern. I mean, it just scandals are us in the Big Ten. It seems like we thought we'd get past that, but I guess not. Do you see anything? Of course, again, the crystal ball, and what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. Do you see any chance that maybe Michigan may go in and maybe suspend him for a game or two in the non-con part, just to kind of say, hey, we fell on our sword already. Like, leave us alone. Is that possible?
Possible, sure. Likely, no. Is that what I see happening? No.
That's fair.
Now, what I was told is if I mean, not often that you have investigations to compare one another to so close to each other, but if you look at the way they just handled this previous situation, right? Ward Manuel was not coming down on Jim or anyone internally until the negotiated resolution had sort of run its course. It was clear they weren't going to do it. And then I'm told he was advised, like, hey, we probably should hand down the suspension. That's probably gonna take the temperature down in the room. But from what I'm told, Ward is not going to, I mean, he's not going to just suspend Sharon Moore to appease somebody or just because he thinks it's the optics. He's going to see it out, and if and when there are facts or circumstances that determine that he should do that, then I'm told he will. If that's the case, but he's not going to sort of jump the shark here and just, I mean, admit guilt on Sharon's part or anything like that. They're going to play this thing out. They're going to see this through.
Yeah, the Bill Self technique of Kansas was very successful.
That's
Is
right.
Sharon Moore going to use this as a us against the world? Because it seems, as an outsider looking in, and I know Michigan had 13 players drafted in the NFL draft, but this was a deep roster, and properly motivated and feeling overlooked, Michigan could be a threat even in the CFP.
They are. I think anybody who is sleeping on this Michigan team is going to wake up. Now, this is not the same team as last year. There is a ton to replace, right? Top 10 quarterback, the most decorated running back in history, the 2-time Joe Moore Award-winning offensive line, not like linemen, the whole line, all of it gone. The 6th rotational lineman, gone. Your top 2 senior wide receivers, gone, right? You're replacing 10 of 11 on offense. There's a lot. However, if you just saw Bruce Feldman's The Athletics Freak List that came out, Michigan's got 3 in the top 30. They've got 4 guys projected to go in the first round. This defense is loaded. I think I'm not seasoned enough, old enough, what have you, to make this determination. For my money, Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham might be the best defensive tackle pairing in the history of college football. I don't know that that's hyperbole. They are that good. And so, they got Will Johnson's top 5 projected corner. They have pieces. They have a lot on this defense. And as we saw last year, something like this can galvanize a team. I mean, they said it flat out. Now, is that why they won the national championship? I don't know. Are they going to win it this year? I don't know. Last year, I picked them to do so. This year, I'm not. But I do think that somewhere around 9-3, 10-2, 8-4 would be a disappointment. 10-2, I think they'd sign up for it right now. because that would get them in the CFP, and that's that's the goal. They say their goal is not lose a game, and I find that interesting. I'll just leave that thought, just expand on it just a little bit. Before there were layers to it, right? It was, we want to beat Michigan State, Ohio State, Big Ten. Then it was, we want to win the Big Ten, go to the CFP. Then we want to win the national championship. Now it's, we don't want to lose a game, right? So Sherrone Moore said, there's no honeymoon period. There's no fall off. The expectation is the last 3 years of Michigan keeps it rolling.
I was going to say,
Larry, there was a lot of good information there, but I think we just got called old when he talked about.
No.
When he talked about seasoned, I think we just got called old.
That's right. But yeah, I think so. But no, Tony, you're right in terms of there's a winning culture right now there in that locker room, and why not take that and move forward? There's a winning culture there, unlike any in college football right now, outside of Alabama. So you can make that argument.
You could. Yeah. The one hesitation is their schedule, right? It's a pretty loaded schedule. Texas coming into Ann Arbor. That's very, very tough. USC in this new expanded Big Ten, Oregon in this expanded Big Ten. You got to go to Columbus. Washington is down after sort of the same turnover last year, new coach and everything, but got to go out to Seattle. You never know. So those are 5 games that you have to pay attention to. And last year there were 2.5. And so it's going to be a different season this year. And with less experience, they got to hit the ground running. There's no doubt about it.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch. Tony, we always appreciate your time and your insights. Enjoy the season, and hopefully we'll talk with you again here in a few weeks.
Thanks, fellas. We'll see you around.
All right, absolutely. Tony Garcia, once again, he's the Michigan football and basketball beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. Always love his insights here in the show. Stay with us. We've got more to come after a quick timeout.